Hey, good morning, guys. Started making breakfast, and I thought, you know what? We've never made breakfast together before. Let's make some breakfast. I think it'll be kind of a cool gig. It's Sunday morning. I got the day off, which hardly ever happens. And so I thought I'd make breakfast casserole. And there's like a million YouTube videos on how to make this, and I don't make mine a whole lot different than the other guys do, but mine's made with love, and that's the difference. Hold on for me 1 second. So, the first thing you want to do when making breakfast casserole is to move your puppy out of the way and make sure you have everything that you need. In this case, I forgot something. Oh. So most breakfast casseroles don't have, they're basic. Really it is. But we can go over the ingredients list real quick. And it starts with 1 pound of sausage, which we have frying up right here in a pan, if I can get my camera unstuck. Right there. And you obviously now know that you're going to put it in a skillet and you're going to brown it, crumble it, and you want it cooked all the way through, or at least 95% all the way through, because we're going to stick this in the oven. While that's browning, or while you're browning that, go ahead and turn your oven on 350 degrees. That way it's cycling while it goes. The next thing you're going to need, some can of Graham biscuits. This is a quick meal. If you got time and you want to make your own biscuits, great, but I don't work that hard when it comes to bread products. Next thing you're going to need, 8 eggs. 8 eggs. Large eggs. Well, at least that's what we use, is large eggs. And then you're going to need some mushrooms. And this morning I'm using Pennsylvania Dutchman, stems and pieces mushrooms. If you have fresh mushrooms you want to put it in, great. Remember, cooking, make it your own. Cream, heavy cream, half and half, milk. You're just going to mix it in with the eggs. And then the last 2 things I'm putting into mine, I'm putting in 1 small onion, small to medium-ish onion, and some jalapenos. Because as you guys know, I love me some jalapenos. Alright, so, excuse me. This doesn't take long. It probably takes a total time of about an hour. Most of that's spent in the oven. So the reason why you need the oven is to bake the bread, the biscuits, which you'll do with everything on it. But this gets cheese on top. About a cup of whatever cheese you like. I haven't shredded it yet, but it's about a cup's worth that gets sprinkled on top. So let me get this browned up real quick, and then when I come back, we'll put everything together. All right? See you here in just a millisecond. Okay, so I'm back. Sausage is brown, so the next thing we need to do is take the sausage out of the pan. Because we need to layer some things. So, we get the sausage out of the pan. And you got to remember that your cast iron's a little warm. Remember, don't be a hero. Use a towel to grab that with. You don't want to burn yourself. I've got pretty good oven hands, which means I can take a fair amount of heat, but cast iron gets hot. Right? Like right now, I'm cooking this on 3, which is about 350 degrees. Now, I can touch it quick, to turn it and move it, but to grab it and hold on to it's a bit much. So that was the oven beeping. Now I know I'm at 350 degrees. All right, so we got that going. Take that out. Next thing I'm going to do is add some butter to the skillet. It's 2 tablespoons. I know I didn't mention it in the ingredient list, and that's because I forgot. So what the butter does, and use real butter, oil-based butters, they're good with their spreads. They're good for honest goodness, the only thing we use ours for is, we have some, but mostly we use real butter for cooking. Is for toast, you know, or yeah, and that's because it's spreadable when it's cold. Real butter it's good, but when it comes out of the fridge, you gotta let it sit, and you know, it takes time. And when you're trying to cook a quick breakfast and it involves toast, you know, not so much. So while that's melting, we're gonna take our 8 eggs that we got, and we're gonna put some creamer in it. How much creamer? Well, maybe a 1/4 cup-ish, 1/8 of a cup. I don't ever measure when it comes to this dish. I just put it until it looks like right. Now, if you don't have any cream or half and half, you can use milk. That's just as good as half and half. Or heavy cream. Here's what I found with heavy cream that makes the difference. And you want to whisk them up, break them up, make it into scrambled eggs, so to speak. But what I found is, like, next I'm gonna add some Red River Ranch, because I always do. Stuff is like crack in our house. Or I add whatever spices you want, or no spices at all. It's up to you. So you whip this together, and what I have found using heavy cream is it seems to hold your spices better. The other, like for example, when making French toast, if you use milk while making French toast in your eggs, the cinnamon has a tendency to sit on top, and it's good for like 1 or 2 pieces of bread, and then all of a sudden it disappears because it's all over the first 2 pieces of bread you made. Where with using heavy cream instead of milk, as you whip it in to your dish or to your eggs and heavy cream mix, it seems to suspend it better, so you get more even coating when you do up your French toast. And in this case, I know that this will hold the Red River Ranch into a good spot. All right, so our butter's melted, and you're saying, Brian, why did you need the butter? Well, I'll tell you why we needed the butter. Because the biscuits, the graham biscuits, I have found, if you don't butter your pan, now this holds true, I'm sure, for non-stick pans as well as cast irons, but we don't use anything but cast iron pans, so I can't actually attest to the non-stick ones. But I know for whatever reason, the cast iron does not like these biscuits, and it wants to keep a hold of them. And it doesn't matter which cast iron pan I use. And it's the only thing that we ever struggle with having stay. My favorite part of these biscuits is popping this thing open. It always pops. Always makes me jump a little. Even after 40 years of cooking, it still makes me jump. Alright, so we got the butter in there. Left the sausage grease in there. Next thing we're going to do, let me lift you up a little bit here so you can see the pan better, is put these biscuits in the pan. I'm telling you, this is like the easiest thing ever. Get some butter on the bottom of them, you know, just as reinsurance. You know, I mean, the only thing that's going to happen with the butter, not only is it going to seal the bottom of these biscuits, but it'll add a buttery flavor to the biscuit, which is always good. Yeah, everybody likes buttered biscuits, right? Well, bam, buttered biscuits. This is like a big Sunday meal all in one. So put them in a circle, last one in the middle. Next thing we're going to do, I'm telling you, this goes blazing fast, is we're going to put our crumbled sausage over top of that. Yeah, and make sure you get it all over the place. I mean, think about it, you're going to have a little bit in every bite. So we want to be able to put it on there. Turn the stove off. That's always helpful. So we're going to make sure your hands are clean. I don't know why everybody says that. I would like to think your hands are already, that's common sense, but make sure your hands are clean, even though you're putting it in a 350 degree oven for 40 minutes. Bad things could still happen. So we got the sausage in there. Next thing we're going to do is, and order of operation is kind of up to you, but the next thing I do is put in my vegetables, which in this case is going to be mushrooms. Like I said, if you have fresh mushrooms, use them. We don't have any at the moment. All we have is store-bought and stuff we've canned up on our own, which if you have the opportunity to can mushrooms, I highly recommend it. Now, the downside of that is, like in this dish, you only need like this little 4-ounce can. And I can't find a recipe for canning mushrooms that gets them into the small jars like that. So when I just need a little bit of mushrooms, I use a can. When I need a fair amount of mushrooms, I use our own because they taste better. Then I put my onions on. And then my jalapenos to go with that. I said you want to just make sure you get it kind of evenly spread around, because remember, you want a little bit in every bite. You know, if you get all those flavors together, it's awesome. And then after that, we're going to do some egg. And we're going to pour it around. So we've got the flavor of the butter, the little bit of sausage grease that was in there. We've got the Red River Ranch. We've got the jalapenos, onions, mushrooms. All that's mingling together. And you kind of want to make sure everything's covered in the egg. Yeah. That way you're good there. Good. And then the last, but never least, the cheddar cheese. This is a little more than a cup, but around a cup. Put onto what you desire, because I mean it's for you. It's always for you and your family, or just you, or depending on your living situation. So do what you like or your family likes. We like a little more cheese. Sometimes we don't. How do you feel? And this is literally all there is to this breakfast casserole. So now, if you don't have a cast iron skillet, get one, because they're awesome. But if you don't have one, it's okay. You can use a baking dish, a 9x13 pan will work just as well with this. Or if you make it a little smaller, you can do an 8x8. Because it's going to go in the oven, so you just need something to kind of run with it that way. So that's all there is. Now we're going to stick this in the oven, and we're going to put it in there for about 35-40 minutes. You want to kind of check on it at 35 minutes. So we'll turn our timer on. We'll start at 35 minutes. And see where we're at from there. All right, so that's really it. Let's do a quick review on what we did before we get done with this and we taste it to see how it tastes. All I can tell you, made this dozens of times. It tastes fantastic. So the ingredients were 1 pound of sausage. You can use a breakfast sausage, plain sausage, whatever kind of sausage you like. Even if it's a turkey sausage or a chicken sausage, or in our case, it's pork sausage. Brown that up, take it out of the pan, set it in a bowl. 2 tablespoons of butter in the pan, let them melt. That way it'll coat your whatever pan you're using to ensure your biscuits don't stick to the bottom while you're baking it in the oven. One container of the Grand's biscuits, anybody's biscuits, but just make sure they're a biscuit, not like a dinner roll or a croissant. Unless, of course, I've never tried it, but you probably could if that's what you wanted to do. Layer those on top of the butter. Then take your sausage, put that on top of there. And then on top of that, we put jalapeno. That was just 1 jalapeno. 1 small to medium-sized onion. And then 1 small 4-ounce can of mushrooms, or if you have fresh mushrooms, about the same. Those amounts vary to what your tastes are. And then after that, we pour it over, and I am going to say this is going to hold true no matter what, is 8 eggs, because it takes about 8 eggs to, whether it's cast iron or a 9x13 pan, if that's what you're running with, it's going to be 8 eggs to cover everything, along with about 1/4 cup of heavy cream or half and half for milk. I recommend the heavy cream. With the eggs, you're going to whisk them up to make like scrambled eggs or a batter that you would use for French toast. And in that, put whatever spices you like or no spices at all. In our case, I just put Red River Ranch in it. You can just put salt and pepper in it. We salt and pepper to taste afterwards with this dish, so I did not incorporate any of that. The pork, depending on what you get from the butcher, sometimes it's a little saltier than others. It'll just depend on the hog that was processed that day. It's not like the pork products you buy commercially in a grocery store where they're kind of all done the same. So there's consistency and flavor and salt and cure time and all that. From the butcher can always be a little different here and there, so we wait to see. And then you take about a cup and a half of cheddar cheese or whatever cheese you like. Pepper jack, Colby jack, whatever. There's like 8 million cheeses. Shred it and put it on top. I know this is going to sound weird, but we don't buy pre-shredded cheese anymore. We buy blocks. A, it seems to last a lot longer. B, and this is kind of the important one, with shredded cheeses, a lot of companies will put an oil on their cheese. But it's like a chemically treated cheese. It's food grade chemicals, but that still makes me feel weird. And it's so the pre-shreds don't stick together to each other. And sometimes, depending on the company and what they're using to put on it, it may not melt very well. Block cheese, they don't do that. Block cheese is just cheese. Even the only thing you have to worry about with block cheese, and this comes with some of the cheaper block cheeses, is they can be made with a little more oil than milk. So, in my opinion, my recommendation is buy a little more a little more expensive cheese. That way, you don't have a lot of oil and not a lot of milk in it. And don't buy shredded. Realistically, this grater here, which, sorry, it's dirty, I haven't washed it yet, from shredding the cheese, they cost like $2. And block cheese you get a lot further with than you do bag cheese, and it's about the same price. So I would recommend going with block cheese. We made that switch a long time ago. Mostly when we found out that they treat the shredded cheese with stuff so that way it doesn't stick together. It didn't sit well with us. So anyhow, cheese on top, cup and a half, 350 degree oven, and start with about 30 to 35 minutes. You're trying to accomplish 2 things in the oven. You're trying to melt the cheese and get that nice golden brown crust, and you're letting your biscuits cook because they're raw right now, and they will cook. If you watch it as it's in the oven, it's cool because it'll rise, just like if you're making biscuits in the oven. The biscuits will still rise, and you'll see the cheese and everything come up with it, and you're going to end up with this beautiful dish. So we got 29 minutes left. I will be back when this comes out of the oven, and we'll take a look and have a bite. All right, see you here in just a second. All right, guys, 35 minutes is up. That's what it took for mine. All right, here's my take 40. I take 45. So it just depends on your oven. But if we look at this, hey, remember how it was kind of flat in the beginning? See how it poofed up and everything looks good. Cheese is a nice golden brown. That's kind of what you're looking for. Now, if you start with 35 minutes, if it looks like that, you're probably good. But one thing you want to say, like you scoop into it a little bit and the eggs aren't quite done or whatever. Simply take your spoon back out, put it in the oven for another 5 minutes. That way you know everything's done. Because I mean, your sausage is cooked. Your vegetables are vegetables. You can eat those raw or cooked. Your cheese, whether it's browned or not, it's kind of indifferent. It's nice to have it turn out golden brown, but your eggs is what you're looking at. You want to make sure they're done. I know from making this several times, this cast iron skillet, it's a Lodge cast iron skillet, older Lodge. But I know it's done. I know at 35 minutes. I know my oven well enough, and I've made this often enough to know it's done. I wanted to show you something real quick that I just started this morning. I know you're thinking, what is that? Okay, that is a small jelly jar with an onion sitting on top. I have got water in it up high enough to cover the roots. And what's going to happen, hopefully, we'll find out, is that should start rerooting and growing a new onion. It's another way to recycle things. And since I work in a restaurant, we deal with a lot of onions. When I prep onions in the morning, I'll also bring home a few of the onion bottoms to do the same thing with. That way, I can not have to buy onions. Because they'll store, cool, dry place, just like a root cellar. They'll store for a good long time. And then this way, I don't have to worry about going out and buying onions down the road. We'll just simply keep growing it, because that will regrow a whole new onion. And then once we use that onion, cut the root system off. And you want to use the bottom inch or two of the root end of that onion to start it in water. Then once it starts to gain roots, and you'll start after a few days, see, the green shoots start to come out, like when your onions sit too long on the shelf. That'll start to happen. Then it's time to put it in the ground in good soil. But I thought that was kind of cool. I wanted to share that with you. Another little experiment type deal for growing your own and being self-sufficient. So let's give this a shot. Now when you pull this out of the oven, initially it's going to be bubbling like a banshee, because your sausage still had grease in it. And we'll see how well this stuck to the bottom. Hopefully it didn't, but you never know. And it's okay if it did. It'll clean up, but it doesn't feel like it did. So we'll get some biscuits there and some egg. Oh yeah, see, the egg is nice and fluffy inside there. See if I can get you a good shot of that on the inside. Yeah, see how that's nice and fluffy in there, looking good. Everything's baked. It didn't stick to the bottom. It did stick to the side a little bit where I didn't put any butter on it. That's all right. So let's give her a shot, see how it tastes. And how it goes. We'll do a spoon because I like spoons. Not everybody in my family is a spoon person, but right there's what we're looking at. Biscuit in the center. Got a nice fluff to it. Lots of cheese and eggs and veggies. And but you put in it whatever you want and whatever you like to eat for breakfast. You could do this with bacon also. It would take a fair amount of bacon, but you could do it with bacon. Other than being amazingly hot because it just came out of the oven, it's good. It's just hands down good. It's like having a big breakfast on a plate, all in a casserole. You don't need a separate plate for your biscuit, and one for your eggs and a sausage patty, and it's all right there. All right there. You're essentially eating an omelet with a biscuit. All right. Well, we're going to have some breakfast. Actually, it's about brunch because it is 11 o'clock, so this would be more like a brunch for a Sunday. I hope you try this. I hope I did it justice by telling you how to do it, and it wasn't confusing because it really is just a simple dish. And if you do try it, let me know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. Okay, well, I'm going to go eat breakfast. I love you. Tell somebody else you love them. It'll make their day a whole lot better, I promise. And you have a good day. All right? Bye.